Shalom, shalom. We're going to start off by saying, Kal Halal Yehovah Shem Yahushua. Double honors to our elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom and salutation to all the sincere occupants, elect across the four winds. You know what I'm saying? We are here with the DC camp on location. Where what we call this is the Centurion Memorial. When we say Centurion, we talk about what the soldiers of the army. Just like back in remember, America is a reincarnation of ancient Rome. And back then in ancient Rome, the soldiers or the military, they were called the centurion. And modern day today is the military or police officer. And as you see right here, we have a whole bunch of names all around this square. A whole bunch of names of fallen soldiers. And then, of course, right here, as you see, we got a statue of a lion. And we got some words, we got a scripture, Proverbs 28:1. And then the reason why we out here, you know, through the spirit of Yehovah Shem Yahushua, get edified and really put the truth where it's supposed to be at. Because these devils, you know, the Edomites, they use these scriptures to favor them when these scriptures really go with us. When I say us so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the children of Israel. You know what I'm saying? Banya Sha'ala. Now we're going to start off with somebody.
Yeah, I just wanted to say real quick, you know, brothers, you know, talk about centurions. Also want to talk about this word COP, or called COP, constables on patrol, or citizens on patrol. The citizens on patrol are supposed to be the ones who protect the citizens. But here you see a lion look like he's pouncing on young lions. And that's what we are. We're the young lions, they're the old lions. And it says right here that no man pursue. So who is he pursuing? And who is the righteous and who is the wicked according to Proverbs 28:1? That's right. You see what I'm saying? So you know, these citizens on patrol, we're the real citizens on patrol. I'm talking about the elect men of the nation of Israel who's pushing out this word because, you know, we're protecting our people. They're not protecting our people. You know about hands up, don't shoot. You know about Black Lives Matter and all that bull, right? What happens? Our people get shot down on the streets with their hands up. You know what I'm saying? So who are the ones that's being pursued?
Hey, you got a precept?
Yeah. No, you want me to get?
Yeah, get that precept.
All right. This is
Get down, bro.
This is second Ezra 15 and verse 5. Behold, saith the Lord Yahweh, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction.
Khan, this is what the Lord said. The Lord said he's bringing all of this, the famine, the sword, death and destruction. And it's with these Edomite cops. And it's not just Edomite cops. We're talking about all nations of cops. We're talking about Chinese, we're talking about Indian, we're talking about Hispanic, we're talking about all nations are cops. So that this is coming upon our people. This is what it's talking about. Continue on.
Right. It says, verse 6, for wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth.
Right, this is not righteousness we're talking about. We're talking about wickedness. So it says the wicked, right? It says the wicked flee, right? But the wicked to them is us. They believe that we're the wicked, but we're actually the righteous. Go ahead.
It says, and their hurtful works are fulfilled.
And you see what they're doing. That's why all these Edomite cops were slain in the streets or wherever they were on duty. These are not people who committed suicide. These are not people who death natural causes. These are people who died. These are cops who died while on duty. So good for them. This is what they get because they are the wicked.
That's right. Now, and like the brother said, their duty, remember, we talking about a clash of two kingdoms. You know, the kingdom of Israel is, well, the nation of Israel, which, you know, eventually we're going to be a kingdom. We under persecution, and the wicked, just like in a lot of, you look at history, for example. You look at World War II, right? Yeah. In World War II, at the end of World War II, the heroes that came out of that were who? America, England, because they say to the victor goes the spoil. So they have this mentality that whoever is on top, whoever is winning the war, has got to be the one that's righteous. It's got to be the one that the Lord is dealing with. It's got to be the righteous nation. So when they have their officers in their gates, which are these centurions, and then they have us oppressed, you know, start with the nation of Israel, of course, the other nations. When they have us oppressed, now they can put that scripture and say what? When we flee, oh, as a matter of fact, let me get that on Deuteronomy 28. The scripture says, you shall flee. Because the scripture said, you shall flee. Well, yeah, I'm letting Menashe get it. Deuteronomy 28, it said, you shall flee one way. And there's, you know, You know what I'm talking about.
That's Leviticus. I think that's...
Also Deuteronomy.
I got you
Okay.
right here.
Well, yeah. Yeah. You got Deuteronomy. Go ahead, brother. Bring it out.
This is Deuteronomy 28, verse 25.
Right.
The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies.
Boy, see, that's what you see right here. The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thy enemies. So our enemies is smitten us what? In captivity, oppression. You know, you got the Black Lives Matter, hands up, don't shoot. So the way they look at it is, they are the lion, they are the righteous ones, right? And we are to pray because we're the ones that are getting our asses handed to us. Then we must be the wicked that flee, because that's what the scripture says right here, Proverbs 28:1. So they're using that scripture on us when it has to be used on them. But see, the world can't see it. Why? Because right now Israel are the ones that are being what? Persecuted. They're the ones that are having to flee. So go back to that.
The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them,
Right?
and flee 7 ways before them.
See that? Read that again out loud, brother. Call it.
It says, this is Deuteronomy 28 and 25.
Right?
The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies.
Right? The Lord shall cause you to be smitten before thy enemies. Go ahead.
Thou shalt go out one way against them,
Right? We're going to rise up one way against them.
That's right.
You know?
And-
Go ahead.
and flee 7 ways before them.
But in completion, for the most part, we're gonna be fleeing away from the enemy. Now, just because the nation of Israel, right, is fleeing from the young lions, because they do have a lion, and the scripture in some places, the scripture speaks about the gates and the officers of the Edomites as young lions, right?
Yes.
Just because the nation of Israel is fleeing from the lion, it doesn't mean that lion is righteous. It doesn't mean that lion is the lion of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. You know what I'm saying? So that's why the scripture said we shall flee. Just because we fleeing from the Edomites doesn't make us the wicked. As they have it up here, the wicked flee with no man pursueth. We fleeing because we fleeing from persecution. The wicked, the true wicked, the Edomites, they're fleeing from the truth. They go and hide in lies. Because give me Job 13 and 4, their forges of iniquity, forges of lie. I think it's Job 14 and 3 or 13 and 4. Yeah, finish that, bud. Finish that.
Oh, okay. This is Deuteronomy 28 and 25. Again, the Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies.
Right.
Thou shalt go out one way against them,
Right.
and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth.
Right. So we're going to be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. That's why when we started, we saluted. We said what? To the elect Akim across the 4 winds. You know, spread across the kingdoms of the earth. That's what happens when you persecute. But of course, our enemy being the devil, because we always say what? The word devil goes back to what? Latin diablo, meaning deceiver. So if you don't know the scriptures, you don't know the scriptures, you don't know who the Israelites are, you don't know the status of the nation of Israel, then you'll look at this and be like, yeah, the Edomites is righteous because they're winning. God has got to be with them, you know. And guess what? You're gonna look at all those names right there and call them martyrs. Those guys are not martyrs. Those guys are officer of what? Of the wicked, right? That's all they are. So they have no business using what? The word of Yahweh Shem Yahushua and stamping it on them to have them look like the righteous man. And that's, and hey, what we doing right now through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua is the pulling of strongholds, man. This is a stronghold. When Edomites pass by this place, when the heathens pass by here, they look at this and like, surely the Most High must be with America. When that's not true. Far from it. Did you get it? Yeah, go ahead.
This is Job chapter 13, verse 4.
Right?
For ye are forgers of lies. Ye are all physicians of no value.
Right. They're forgers of lie. When they say ye, it's talking about first and foremost the ambassador of the heathen, the Edomites. You know? The so-called white race. That's who it's talking about, the Edomites. They are what? Forgers of lies, man. So when you put the stamp like this, you're nothing but a lie. Now we're gonna go into Psalms, because Psalms tells you about what you're doing, how you persecuting the poor, man. And who are the poor? The poor is talking about the nation of Israel. Can I get Isaiah 3 and 15? Marcus Shep? Isaiah 3 and 15. You know, because we can't stand here. It's aggravating to see something like that. You know, when the righteous is playing, they have it so that the righteous gets looked at as the wicked, and the wicked is looked at as the righteous. Why? Just because he's winning the battle. Esau hasn't won the war. He's won battles against the nation of Israel, but he hasn't won the war.
Isaiah chapter 3, verse 15.
Right?
What mean ye that ye beat my people to pieces?
See that? The Lord has said, what mean ye that you beat my people to pieces, man? So when you putting hands on us, you had us in captivity for 400 plus years. You know, when I say us, I'm talking about so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You had us in captivity, and one of your fallen soldiers, you put them up as heroes, man. You put them up as heroes, and then you go as far as using the scriptures of the Lord and add that to you and make it seem like you're the righteous one. Make it seem like Yahweh is dealing with you. But then we turn around and we look at your society as nothing but what? Perverseness. The Lord said, I've mingled a perverse spirit in Egypt. Spiritual Egypt was talking about America. You don't fight for the oppressed. You don't fight for the people that need help. No, because you're the devil, man. And this really goes to the elect. You know, this is edification for the elect. 144,000 and the remaining with the 1/3. Because they're the only ones that's going to get that. You know, the 2/3 out of the nation of Israel, to them, this is just, our mouths are just moving and we just babbling fools.
Isaiah chapter 3 verse 15. What mean ye that ye beat my people to pieces,
right?
And grind the faces of the poor?
And grind the faces of the poor. So hold up, when you put Emmytail's face in a cotton gin, was that because, as you say in the scripture right here, the wicked flee but no man pursue? When you went and looked for Emmytail, after that he was falsely accused, when the Lord said what? Bearing false witness is a grave crime. It's a grave transgression of the law. That woman admitted that she bare false witness. So when you went out and pursued Emmytail, and you put his face on the grinder in a cotton gin, was that because you was righteous and Emmytail was wicked? Does that scripture really apply to those devils who went out and grabbed Emmytail and grinded his face, man? So that's what we talking about. We gotta we gotta pull down all the strongholds through the power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, man.
Saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua of hosts.
Right. Read it again one more time, brother.
Isaiah chapter 3 verse 15.
Right.
What mean ye that ye beat my people to pieces?
Right.
And grind the faces of the poor?
And grind the faces of the poor. What mean ye? It's talking to the Edomites. The Lord is talking to the Edomites, man. What mean ye that you beat the people of the Lord to pieces, man? Those are the poor. So you can't use the scripture and say, well, because you got your officers out there in the streets, you know, pulling Jakes over, shooting Jakes in the head. Some of them get shot back. Well, the scripture in Deuteronomy said we're going to go one way against y'all. That's why you have your so-called fallen soldiers. They're not heroes. You know, they're not heroes, man. The heroes in this movie, it really starts with the main hero, which is Yahushua HaMashiach, a so-called black man from the tribe of Judah. And then after him comes all the other heroes, which are what? The 144,000, which are most, of course, like you say, which most of them come out of what? Great Millstone. The reason why I say most is because, you know, unfortunately, because of prophecy and different things, we still got guys that are crept in unawares in Great Millstone. But eventually, they're going to be sifted out and revealed. But Great Millstone is that tree that was planted by Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua and ordained to push this truth, man. Now, certain branches are going to have to get cut off, certain leaves are going to have to fall off the tree. But you know what? Hey, if we used to say in heart, you know what I'm saying? The Lord going to have you finish this race till death or deliverance. Yeah, brother, you want to add something?
Come, this is Ezekiel 36, verse 4. Therefore, ye mountains of Yasha Allah, hear the word of Yahweh power. Thus saith Yahweh power to the mountains, and to the hills, to the rivers, and to the valleys, to the desolate waste, and to the cities that are forsaken, which became a prey in derision to the residue of the heathen that are round about. Yeah, you know, that's talking about Israel, man. We became a prey and a derision amongst all the heathen, man. That's, you know, like the brother was talking about how we are the ones, as a people that's fleeing 7 ways. We're the ones getting shot down. We're the ones getting persecuted, as brothers have said. And that's why these Jakes, we always talk about, like, why don't you have the same hatred for the white man, right? Why don't you back at the cops? Well, according to the scriptures, you know why they don't. Because in the curses it says they flee 7 ways. So that they don't flee 7 ways when it comes to, you know, dealing with their own people. They flee 7 ways when it comes to Esau and the other nations. That's right. Because it goes, you know, because we're a prey in this society. But the other aspect of that, I want to get Ezekiel 35 and verse 1. It says, moreover, the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it. Now we talking about Mount Seir, which is Esau. Okay, it says, and say unto it, thus saith the Lord power, behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. So the day of your utter waste and destruction is coming. You know, for what you did to the children of Israel. It says, I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity. Wasn't that what the brothers was talking about? Yeah. Because you had you came against Israel in the time of our Lord's state, right, and you killed us off, man. Now you got the memorial with all these cop names going all the way up the block, and people leaving roses, and they say, oh, he was a great officer and stuff like that. You don't know what type of dirt they did to Israel, man. That's right. And what about a lot of these cops that, you know, the so-called try to be good cops, they know about the wicked cops. Mm-hmm. So how come they don't do something about them? You know? And it says because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, like Emmett Till, like the brother has said. You know, it's not just talking about cops, talking about all you Edomites, man. That's right. Has shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I live, saith Yahweh power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. If thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. So you ain't like to put away blood. You like blood, man. So since you like blood, blood is going to pursue you, and especially in the time of these last days, man. That's right. Pretty soon, when the Lord changes the whole state of this place, nobody's going to give a damn about what a cop has to say. Then you're going to watch the uprising of these people come on these cops, man. Like it says in second Ezra, man, the 15th chapter, right? Yeah. It says the course, like the brother was saying, that, you know, the whole getting into it, the course of the people's actions shall stand in their power. They're not going to flee 7 ways. They're going to come after you, man. That's
right. Yo, get that on second Ezra.
Okay.
That 15, they shall not regard their princes.
God.
Yeah, that it goes into that as well. I mean, because remember, the cop really, a cop or slash centurion slash police officer, they're pretty much, right now, they're pretty much like rock stars in the law. I mean, they have an immense power. They have the power of life and death in their hands. You know, that's the reason why the Lord said in second Ezra not to argue with somebody who has the power to take their life. Why? Because the Most High gave them what? The power or the blessing of the sword. And in this society, a cop is really responsible. Like, he can decide. Ultimately, we know who decides if you're going to live or die. That's your whole Shah. But on the lower level, when the cop pull you over, he can decide if that'll be the last night, your last night on earth. You know, so the Lord said, you know, they're not to argue with people that are able to take your life. So, you know what I'm saying? They really are enforcers of the law. So they have to enforce the laws of the wicked. Just like we, on the flip side of it, we also are the officers. We are officers of Yahweh Shah. We are at their gates. We are the ones enforcing what? The law, statutes, commandments, but most of all, really the faith. Because the law of faith. That's what we really enforcing, the law of faith. So on the flip side, which is what we're getting into, we're getting into the soldiers and the officers that enforce the laws of the wicked. Get that second Ezra.
Yeah. Second Ezra 15, and verse going to the point. Right. It says, I'll go up. It says 16. For there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes.
Right. They should not regard their kings nor princes. Now it's talking about from the top politician, because those are really the kings, the top politicians and the princes, which are the top politicians, all the way down to the cop, all the way down to the average cop in the neighborhood. Those are the princes. A cop, when a cop walks around, I mean, I will give you a good example. And you brothers know this. You driving a highway on the city, and everybody doing 50, 55, and as soon as somebody perceives that a cop is on the road, all of a sudden everybody go back to doing 25. You know, now there's traffic. Why? Because of that one individual that's driving he's driving the same car, right? But the thing is, he's not the same. Why? Because he's a prince in this society. But like the brother said, the time is coming where, what? they're not going to regard the princes nor the kings, man. So there's going to be more slaughter of you so-called cops, and you cops and you officer of the Edomite, you know, you enforcers in the gates of Edom. A lot more of you going to be put to death out here in the streets, man. And then it's going to be revealed that you're the wicked, and then we are the righteous and we're the just, you know? And that's why we got to come out here and get it. You got to come out here because this is heart-wrenching when you see stuff like that. Because when they got a lion, pretty much, because I looked at it, pretty much what they're saying is the lion is pretty much, as you see with the brother, if you can move on the side and put the camera behind you, you know, on that, the lionesses. Pretty much what Esau's trying to say is that the lioness, of course, the women. You know, a man protects the women. So he's out here pretty much protecting his family. You know, so that's why when you see the names of the slaughter officers, it's like, okay, these are the names of the guys that make sure that your wife is protected. There's peace in the society, man. You know, they're the heroes. They're not no heroes, man. They're not no heroes, and that's why we out here, man. And you can get offended all you want. Hey, if you have a family member that's a cop and you an Israelite, guess what? The Lord said, blessed is he that's not offended in me, bro. You got to be spiritual enough to understand who your true family is. It's your spirit, the brothers that's in the spirit of truth, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. That's your real family.
Well, you know, the police officers, they got something called brotherhood. Yeah. You know, they got a brotherhood, a fraternity, order of police and stuff like that. So they believe that they're a force also, or they're a brotherhood, and they look out for each other. You know what I'm saying? You see it on all the cop movies, cop shows. But the point is that the brother was talking about how, you know, I'm talking about their higher ups is a council. You know, and I got this precept right here. This is Isaiah 29 and 15. It says, woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord, and their works are in the dark. And all their works is in the dark. Like the brother said, you know, they doing dirt. They doing this dirty cops out there. You see these shows like Shades of Blue. You know what I mean? With J-Lo. I mean, ain't nothing but a dirty cop. It's a dirt. They dirty, man. The whole force is dirty, right?
Just right quick. They have this thing called asset forfeiture.
Okay.
You know, where they're able to just pull you over. If you got $10,000 in your car, they can just snatch it. Cash. Right. They'll take it. And what they gonna do with the $10,000, man? You think they're gonna put it back in the system, and so that the roads can be built? No. Does it look like roads are being built? The infrastructure is falling. As Sharon to the brother Mouth, you know, the infrastructure, you know, brother making videos about it. The infrastructure is falling apart. So the taxpayers' money is definitely not going towards what? It's not going towards the, you know, the uplifting of the infrastructure of the nation. It's going into people's